Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video with your guy, Mawu the Patient. Okay, so first of all, a huge thank you for everyone watching this channel right now. My biggest video, the Wildstalker versus Keeper, have gotten so many views and so many comments, and a lot of you guys are here just because of that video, so thank you so much. And this is actually why we're making this video today. Because many of you on the other video asked about what about talents, what about new talents, what about different ways to go. And I can say with 100% security in my voice that I now know a lot more about Keeper and Wildstalker. So that's why we're making this video. A little update on what talents you can run. I got 5 different talents for you today. 5 different specs and way you can play the game. And play styles that will fit you. So I hope that some of the questions you were asking me, like how do I actually play Resto-druid in 11.0.7, can be answered here today. So without further ado, thank you for watching and let's jump right into it. Psst. If you haven't watched the first video, I would recommend you going watching that first before watching more of this video. Okay? I'll put a link up right here. See ya. So, before jumping into the specs and the 5 different builds, I just want to quickly highlight some very important talents for Restoration Druid here in 11.0.7. And when we're talking about talents, we cannot start anywhere else than talking about Heart of the Wild. This is such an impactful talent for Restoration Druid right now in Mythic Plus. Whether you use it or you don't use it is still very important, and most of my builds are built around whether you're choosing to go with Heart of the Wild or you don't. So for those of you who doesn't know this talent yet, this is a DPS, 5-minute DPS cooldown for Restoration Druid. When you're casting or using balance spells, you will get reduced cast time and increased damage. When in cat form, you will gain 1 additional combo point every 2 seconds and just do more damage. A phenomenal damage cooldown for Restoration Druid where you can swap between forms and do damage. It feels very good when the group is healthy, you pop Heart of the Wild and go in there and do DPS. It's very cool. If you run Heart of the Wild, I usually recommend you also over here in the Restoration Druid tree, you also run Call of the Elder Druid. So what this does is that if you swap into a form or cast a Star Search, you will actually activate a free Heart of the Wild for 15 seconds. This is you can use this talent every 1 minute. So every 1 minute you're gonna get a 15-second window with Heart of the Wild active. That is so huge. For example, you have Convoke of the Spirits that only has 1 minute cooldown as well. So every 1 minute you can go into cat form. You can activate your Call of the Elder Druid, get your Heart of the Wild, go in, use Convoke for huge damage. Because Convoke can both do the physical damage from feral form, and it can also just be used as a balance cooldown for Wrath and so on. And that's just so nice damage, and on top of that you get Dream of the Scenarios, where your Wrath, your Shred, your Starfire and your Swipe will actually transfer like 50% and 100% of the damage into healing. So your damage will be converted into healing and healing everyone around you. And that playstyle is just so cool to me, and it's been very enjoyable to play. Other than Heart of the Wild, where whether you use it or you don't use it, you have some different choices over here in the normal Druid tree. For me, it's a matter of survivability. You got 3 very key important talents for survivability, which is Improved Barkskin, Burden Heart, and Natural Recovery. So these 3 talents right here is more survivability. If you want to go more the damage way, you prioritize talents like Trash. You prioritize a talent like Primal Fury, which would just generate more combo points for you. And you will prioritize this talent, Instinct of the Claw, which will give you just more damage in cat form with all the cat spells. So there's a lot of different ways to go around this, and that's why I wanted to make these 5 different builds, and I'm gonna rate them in 4 different categories. I'm gonna rate them in survivability, I'm gonna rate them in healing output, damage output, and in the end I'm gonna rate the fun. How much fun I had playing this talent build, and how much fun I in total just had playing the build in Mythic Plus. So yeah, that's how we're gonna go with the video. I hope you enjoy it as well. And yeah, let's take the first talent build. So, on your screen right now, you see the first talent build. This is a Keeper of the Growth talent build. I usually recommend this usage to be below key level 12, but you can use it for every key level you like. What I call this build is the Skyfall build. So, what this is a good mix of still doing a lot of DPS. We still run Primal Fury. And why I call it the Skyfall build is because this is the only talent build we actually still use Star Search. So if you remember from earlier this video, your Call of the Elder Druid gets triggered by you shapeshifting into a form or casting a Star Search. So this is a very, very cool way to play it. So what you want to do in this build, in the Skyfall build, is that you want to hut everyone up. You want to use Star Search to trigger your Call of the Elder Druid. And then you just want to spam Starfires all day long. You're just going to stand there and using Starfire, because your Starfire will have 30% reduced cast time and 20% increased damage because of the Heart of the Wild. And you will heal for 50% of the damage you deal will actually be into healing. It's such a nice cooldown. It's so fun to play. So yeah, this is the build. We still prioritize some cat DPS, and that's mostly because of the bosses, okay? So my problem was, if I run more survivability with this, I just lose out on boss damage. So on boss fights when everyone is healthy, I just had nothing to do. So that's why we still prioritize the bleeding damage, the rake, and the rip. So if you have time on bosses or on like mini bosses or some ads that is not stacked, Starfire is mostly good on stacked mobs, and it's not that good on single target. Then you need to use Wrath. But if you don't want to use Wrath on bosses and get some more damage in, we still run the cat, and we still run the Primal Fury. So yeah, time to rate the build. For me, the survivability on this build would be a 4. We have all these talents we just talked about before. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. We don't have like the oak skin down here. It's not 100% like going into survivability, but it's pretty good. I'll give it a 4. In a healing perspective, I think I would also give this a 4. We still run a lot of good healing things, and actually the dream of this scenario is just pumping healing this build. So when you're running the Star Search and you're just spamming Starfires all day, there's so much healing from dream of the scenarios in this build. So yeah, healing will be a 4. Damage wise, I think this will actually... let me think. I think it would be like a 4 or 5. Like 4 or 5, because the damage is so good. I think the most damage I did, like in my entire career of Mythic Plus, was actually with this build right here. Because I was in a Mist 9, I think, and I was just having so much fun. The tank was so good at doing big pulls, and I was just like hotting everyone up, using a Star Search, and then spamming Starfires all day for so much damage. And because we run Keeper of the Growth, my Growth Guardians also spread Moonfire, so that's even more damage from the balance spells from the Heart of the Wild, because the Moonfires will tick for more. So there's a lot of damage potential in this build as well. A very, very fun build to play if it was me. And speaking of the fun, this is a 5 out of 5 fun for me. I played, I think, almost every key up until the key level 12, 13 I played this build. This is such a nice Skyfall build and very enjoyable. You can stay out there in the range, use your Star Search, just spam Starfire, see your damage go up to 1,000,000, see everyone healthy, your healing per second just getting up there, and yeah. So for me, the only reason I changed this was because some of the negative about this build is that if you don't need to heal anyone, then you have the 45 seconds where you don't have Heart of the Wild. You're kind of awkwardly standing trying to cast Starfire, but not getting it off because you need to move or some mechanics. And yeah, the 45 seconds downtime just felt very awkward for me when I didn't need to heal anyone because people would actually do the mechanics. So when I get higher up in the key levels, I needed to try something different. So yeah, that's the thing for me. Let's move on to build number 2. And here we go. Build number 2, I've chosen to call the Rejuv spam. So a lot of people on my last video was asking like Mawu, why are you not using Rejuvs? And in my opinion, if you need to use rejuvenation, and you need to use it a lot in Mythic Plus, you need to spec into it. You need to have the talents that actually makes your rejuvenation better. Otherwise, it's just not worth it to use, in my opinion, because the healing is so low, and I get mastery from a lot of other things. But in this build, I've chosen to call this the Keeper above 12 as well. So if you want to keep running Keeper of the Growth and you feel like people are taking a lot of damage, or you're running City of Threats with high AoE damage where you need to be able to put out a lot of numbers, this could be a build for you. The Rejuv spam. So basically, as I just said, we're prioritizing a lot of rejuvenation here. We're also going into these talents, which I rarely use. The improved rejuvenation. Over here, we get the thriving rejuvenation, and we get the germination, where you can actually apply 2 rejuvenations on the same target, and its duration is increased. So a lot of talents into this new Rejuv build, where you can just like spam Rejuvs out. And a lot of good things to say about this is Rejuvs is an instant cast, so you can actually run and just hot everyone up. You don't need to stand there and hard cast regrowth like I do all the time. So that's a very good thing. Also, we prioritize some more survivability. Some people might say, why are we not running these? Like, we just talked about these, right? Improved bark skin, verdant heart. But I still prioritize Rake and Rip over this, because you'll still stand in situations on bosses where you have nothing to do and you actually need to pump out some kind of damage. So that's why we still run this. But in this build as well, we're prioritizing to do Urson Vigor, as in most of my builds, but also the Urson's Spirit. So this gives you extra 10% stamina and bear form, so you're gonna get super tanky. If you heal yourself with a regrowth, you're also gonna take 8% less damage. So this is just a super survivability healing build. You can use a regrowth on yourself, you can go into bear form, and you're gonna get super tanky. When you're pumping out the damage, this build also takes Nature's Vigil, which will convert some of your healing into damage. So this is more focused. You can see there's no Heart of the Wild anymore. There's no Call of the Elder Druid. So the damage is a bit lower, but the healing and the survivability is way up there. It's a very, very nice build, and I would recommend you trying it out if you're in a situation where you want to play Keeper of the Growth, but just don't have the healing output you need. Then give this a try. The Rejuv build is very nice. So, for survivability, I would rate this a 5. With these talents, this is the personal cooldown every time. You can use this, so I mean, you can swap into bear form and it's like you have used all the cooldowns in the world. Your oak skin as well, everything is just getting stronger. Yes, you don't have a increased duration on your bark skin, but your bark skin into bear form is just so strong. It's such a big personal use. So I would give this survivability a 5. Healing wise, because of the Rejuv build and now the Nature's Vigil and all these talents, I would also give this a 5. So a 5 out of 5 on healing. It's a very nice healing build. You're gonna pump out healing a lot. When we're talking about damage, I would say this is a 2 or 3. Maybe 2, yeah. 2 or 3. Because we lost the Heart of the Wild. We lost the Call of the Elder Druid. We lost most of our damage cooldowns. So the damage won't be here. We also lost the Star Surge because we don't need to use Star Surge anymore because we don't have Call of the Elder Druid, right? So most of your damage will come from Sunfire and from your treants spreading the Moonfire, and on bosses where you just go in and get some cat damage off. Another big thing is that we don't run Skull Bash anymore. We don't run Primal Fury, so you cannot kick anymore and you don't get any combo points. So that's why it's only a 2 or 3. I think, yeah, mostly 2. For me, the fun, I've played this build a couple of times in higher keys. For me, the fun will be a 3. For me, the fun is so low, or a 3 is still high, but I just need to be able to do damage. So in my downtime, I need to be able to do damage. I need that dopamine kick of going into cat form, using Convoke offensively. I need to be able to do that. This build is just mostly around healing and then doing a bit of damage. So yeah, a 3. And that's when I thought, people were asking me, this guy was asking me on YouTube, but what if you do not want to do DPS as a healer? Well, I have the answer for you. We're gonna do almost the same, but just gonna swap out a bit, as you can see on your screen right now. What I call this is the healing machine. This is not going into any damage. This is just straight up healing and survivability. We lost all our cat form spells. We do not need to go into cat form anymore. Over here we swapped out the double life bloom for now Flourish, which increases all your healing and makes them heal more over time. And we got into Power of the Archdruid, which will make your Wild Growth have a chance to do your next Rejuv, or Regrowth will apply to 2 extra targets. So this is just an insane amount of healing. And yes, you don't run double life bloom anymore, but you don't really need to, because this build is made for being a healing machine that can heal your entire party. It's not around your life blooms and stacking up your mastery. This is just straight out. Oh, it is about stacking up your mastery. This is a straight up healing build, a healing machine build. Okay, so for the first time and the only build you're gonna see this, you actually also run the bear form here. You can go into bear form. You can pop a French seed. You can just sit in bear form with your Urson Spirit, your Urson's Vigor, and your Oak Skin. You also run the improved bark skin, so you can just sit in bear and survive forever. If you hut everyone up with all this, you pop Flourish and go into bear form, everyone is going to survive. This is such a strong healer build. So for me, the survivability in this build is 6 out of 5. It's just out of the scale. This is 6 out of 5 survivability. You will mostly never die if you play this correctly with your bear forms. This is such a strong survivability. Healing wise, also a 6 out of 5. This is so strong. With these 2 talents right here, the amount of healing you can put out in just so little time is very, very strong. But for damage, ladies and gentlemen, you can almost see where this is going. We have almost no damage cooldowns. The only thing would be our healing converting into damage with Nature's Vigil. But the damage will be, for me, a 1. There's no damage in this, and this is why I think it might be hard running it in a Mythic Plus scenario, because people want some kind of damage from the healers. But if you just want to heal the dungeons, be my guest, this could be a very good build for you. And for the fun, I gave this a 2. I was in a City of Threats 14 trying out this build just to talk about it with you guys, and it just feels very boring for me. I need to be able to do some DPS as a healer, otherwise it just gets boring for me. So yeah, that was the Keeper of the Growth builds. Let's move on to the Wildstalkers. So let's have a look on the first Wildstalker build here. The below 12 I called it, but
Time to pump.
Time to pump. You hear it right there, and that's perfect for the name of this build. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the Dopamin build. This is the most fun build I've been playing like in such a long time as Restoration Druid. This is such a dopamine build. Every time you hear the little ready to pump, time to pump, meow, all the all the small Weakaura sounds I've custom made. Like, it's such a dopamine. It makes me laughing right now. I'm just recording and it makes me smile. So what's important about this is that I talked about the build number 1, the Skyfall build. When I came into 12s and 13s and people actually started doing mechanics, that was when I swapped into this talent build right here, the dopamine build. So what this basically does is, if you ask me, and if you're in doubt about this, I would recommend you going back and watching the other video if you haven't. I'm going to put a link up here for you. But Keeper of the Growth is a more ranged kind of orientated build, while Wildstalker is a more like cat form, going in and cat-voking, cat-weaving build, okay? So we need to be able to go into cat form and do damage here. And that's exactly what the build is for. So as you can see on your screen right now, no survivability. We do not want the improved bark skin, verdant hard, natural recovery, oak skin. Nah, we don't need any of that. On the other hand, we get Primal Fury, we get Trash, we get Heart of the Wild from before. We actually prioritize Incapitating Roar here, because on lower keys it is actually sometimes very nice to be able to see. I have my kicks over here on the left of the screen. If I see that no one can kick an important spell, it's actually very nice to be able to go into melee range, which you will already be there in cat form, and you can use your Incapitating Roar. It's a very nice playstyle here. And we're back into using double life bloom, which is very nice because we run this talent, so you're actually gonna get a lot of mastery. You can use it on, I usually use it on tank on myself. Some people would argue that it's better to have it on tank and a DPS, but I'm getting more used to having it on a DPS right now. But it's just, yeah, if you don't survive, you can't heal anyone and you'll probably vibe. And if a DPS dies, you can recover from that. That's just my opinion. So yeah, this is the Dopamin build. A very, very fun build. We're back into running Call of the Elder Druid. When I hear the little meow sound in my ear, you can find my Weakaura-pack, by the way. If you want the Weakauras and the sound effects, you'll find them down in the description. But if I hear the meow, I go straight into cat form and pumping out the Convoke of the Spirits. It's just so nice. And looking out for the, what is that called? The Bloodseeker Vines. The Bloodseeker Vines. Because that will actually make me do 5% extra damage on my Convoke. Very, very nice. So yeah, this is the build. So I would say survivability in this build is 3. I wouldn't put it higher because we have no points into survivability. We still have Ursa and Vigor and it's fine. And we life bloom ourselves. But yeah, I would say compared to the other builds, I would put this a 3. The healing output is a 3, maybe 4. A low 4, I would say, because we're getting Heart of the Wild and we're getting Call of the Elder Druid. But our problem is that Dream of the Scenarios will only transfer healing from Wrath, Shred, Swipe, and Starfire. And when you're playing this Wildstalker build, you can see that in the other video as well, your main goal is to spread bleeds. Your main goal is to spread your Rake, spread your Rip, and spread your Trash. Like, dot everything up. And our problem with that and Dream of the Scenarios is that the bleed damage and the ticket damage won't transfer into healing. So your healing actually becomes a bit more weak. And that's why, yeah, I would put it on a 3. A 3 or 4. But talking about damage, this is a for sure 5. Your damage is so good in this. You hot everyone up, and then you go into cat form, you proc your Heart of the Wild, you proc your Call of the Elder Druid, you use your Convoke, and then you just pump out damage. And it's so enjoyable. You can really top some numbers. I think the most I did was like 3 million damage. On a boss fight with ads as well. It was very, very dopamine. It was nice to play Resto-druid at that moment. So a secure 5. And then the fun. I was actually thinking about this. I think I would put it at a 4 or maybe a low 5. So for me, the Skyfall build was just like so much easier to play because you don't need to go into cat form and do a rotation and spread bleeds and watch out for all the procs. On the Skyfall build, you just had to click one button, the Starfire. So the fun was a bit more orientated about a simple playstyle, where this is a more complex playstyle, but also, yeah, feels better because you're not bored. So I would say a 4 or 5 in fun for this build, yeah. And for the final build, I am calling this one, We Will Convoke Another Day, or just Convoke Another Day. So as you saw on your screen, the only difference of this is that we're getting rid of Primal Fury, we get rid of Incapacitating Roar, and we get rid of Forest Walk, and then we need to prioritize some kind of survivability, okay? So I figured out that playing some of these keys, I needed some more survivability. I needed my bark skin to be a bit stronger, so I needed to go into oak skin, and I needed some verdant heart just to keep myself up. I life blew myself, I pop bark skin, and then I heal myself 20% extra, okay? And I needed that to survive those bigger keys. So this would usually be what I would recommend people running for Wildstalker above key level 12, okay? So yeah, not much else here. Same build. The restoration tree is the exact same, I think. Yeah, it is. So for me, the survivability just jumped a knot here. So we're like 4 in survivability, I would say. From a healing perspective, I would also say this is a 4 now. Not a 3-4, but a 4. Because now your survivability is better. And you're going to stay out more. So you have a way to heal more, okay? You're going to get healthy. You're going to heal yourself more because of the verdant heart. And therefore, you can heal others more. So I would say a 4. Damage-wise, you still have a lot of damage cooldowns here. You get rid of the Primal Fury, though. So I would say this would be a 4 or 5 in the damage perspective. And a 4 in fun. So I think before it was a 4 or 5, I think this is just a 4. Primary Fury just makes it more fun, and the movement speed from Forest Walk and the ability to help people with Incapacitating Roar is very, very nice. And we got rid of that for more survivability, so the fun is, yeah, I would say a pretty good 4. So yeah, that was a lot of talking, and that was a lot of builds. I hope that you enjoyed all of these different builds and enjoyed all of this different talk about talents. Right now we are PTR for the 11.1 and I'm testing out a lot of different talents and I can't wait to show you all of them. But I wanted to show you these first because there's a lot of people still playing this game and want to know how to enjoy Restoration Druid. And if you ask me, there's a pretty good chance that Restoration Druid would actually be not S tier but maybe a high A tier in 11.1. So this is the time to try out some of these playstyles and find the playstyle for you moving into 11.1. So yeah, I guess there's nothing more to say. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And please, if you have any question, leave it down in the comments. And let's have a talk about all this Restoration Druid stuff happening. A lot of new talents coming in 11.1. We're very excited. So yeah, I guess guys, I just see you in the next one. Bye!